juste avant que vous arriviez. C'était bien dramatique.
Come around again.
Sonia, tu es française. Nice to meet you.
Hello again.
Hello.
Gabrielle.
Nice to meet you.
Bonjour.
Hello, Nadine.
We'll be having a light show or something.
So it's this one.
C'est M.
M.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
So, each team has 24 minutes to present their case to the judge. The time of the presentation will be divided. The first 12 minutes of the presentation are considered as being protected, meaning that the judge cannot interrupt the team. The next 10 minutes are not protected. The beginning of this period will be when I ring the bell. When the period not protected, when the not protected period will be, and I will ring it again. The judge has the possibility to interrupt the presentation in the order to ask of clarification on the subjects presented at this moment. The judges will ask, will have the limit, himself to 15 seconds to ask his question. The team has to answer the question, but can then continue his presentation without waiting for the agreement of the judge. The judge cannot ask the question on a subject having already been covered or which has been not presented yet. This question must be approached during the presentation of the question at the end of the presentation. The 2 last minutes of the presentation are meant to conclude the presentation and are shielded from the question of the judge. I will show the boards showing the remaining time, and there will be 12 minutes, 7 minutes, 2 minutes, and 30 seconds left. And we'll make countdown to the 10 last seconds by using my hand. A period of question of maximal duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind to each judge that it's mandatory to ask at least one question during this period. I will now invite the judge to introduce themselves.
Thank you. My name is Jean-Luc Deschamps. I'm VP Finance of Solitech, former VP Finance of Cirque du Soleil.
Hi, my name is Maria Ferron. I'm the Senior Analyst Forecasting and Performance at Cirque.
Hello, my name is Amélie Lavoie. I'm the Company Manager for Corteo.
Hi, Fanny Paget. I'm the Manager for Artist Management.
Nadine Mercure, I'm the Director of Internal Communication at Cirque du Soleil.
Guy Laliberté started Cirque du Soleil with a vision to do something no one else had started before on the streets of Montreal. Years later, 400 cities later, Cirque du Soleil is a vibrant company that is stuck in 2 pillars. Never compromise your creativity for fun. And we here, my name's Gabrielle, along with Sonia and Francis, simple as 123 ABC Consulting, we take that simple approach, just like never sacrificing fun for creativity, in our approach to solving your situation today. So, we have a structure here in terms of simple that I'll use with my brilliant French. In terms of the situation, les implications, so what this means for your company, the moyen, the strategy that we have moving forward, le plan, the implementation in terms of solving this, l'analyse financière to make sure that it's viable, and lastly with l'évaluation des fees. So to start off in terms of a gap, in terms of also why you're here today. So right now, Cirque du Soleil juggles about 4,000 employees across the world. Not only that, but there are performers across the world in different time zones, in different continents, in different cities all at the same time. Thirdly, the majority of the employees in your IHQ in Montreal are located there in terms of your administrative functions, your creative functions, and training performers. So that can sometimes cause issues with your headquarters in Las Vegas or on tour in other cities across the world in finding times that they really match up. And lastly, the artistic icon, that's what Cirque du Soleil is, and like the theme of these games, you're audacious in your creativity. So, the gap here that we're trying to bridge, or the goal situation, is to bring forward your cultural qualities, to bring forward your diverse people in your company that speak over 25 languages, to come together and bring out all the qualities that can make your shows interesting and fascinating. Secondly, synergized communication. Make sure that they're able to talk to each other across all channels at optimal times to make sure that you don't miss out on one good idea, because you like having a vibrant culture and making people feel included. And thirdly, you want to be a world leader in live entertainment. You want the audacity to double your revenues and become the world leader in live entertainment. So therefore, our mandate today is to develop a strategy and creativity while setting a strong base to achieve synergy and global market leadership in the entertainment industry. So to start off in terms of what I was speaking about before and with availability. So all of your shows across the world, they happen twice a day for every day that you perform. Now you have two types of touring acts in terms of, and also your fixed events, but those just happen twice a day. So for Big Top, you move monthly. So in terms of the moving time, moving your 16 trucks with supplies, you can't communicate with anyone during that time. Also for your arena shows, they move every 5 days, which there's a lot of setup time involved and also deconstruction time. So it's hard to find gaps in terms of reaching people that need to be reached from the headquarters in Montreal. Continuing this, office hours usually occur from 9 to 5 in the Eastern time zone in Montreal. The technician hours, in terms of setting up all your equipment, they vary based on, they could be in the morning before the performers show up in the afternoon, or they could be after the show in terms of tinkering, and of course during the show as well. And the performers, it was stated to us that usually they start in the mid-afternoon in Las Vegas and all your other shows, and continue usually until 11 p.m., but our trip goes to 11:59. So the simple takeaway from this, what you need to remember is that Cirque du Soleil requires some sort of indicator for the available communication times. And I'll pass it off to Francis to kind of build on this.
Thanks, Gab. So yeah, continuing on that thought, we just want to look at an analysis of the access to the various information that you want to transmit to your employees. So here we have the Montreal office, and you always have to take into consideration the different tour schedules, and when the break times are, if it's what times the shows are at, and whether it's a Monday and everyone is off for those days. And the simple takeaway from that, Cirque du Soleil, your group's indicator must be real time, and to be able to track the dynamic environment in which Cirque du Soleil operates.
Thank you, Francis. So for now, our integration analysis, another key point to remember is that 8% of your employees don't regularly communicate with the headquarters in Montreal. So your performers usually come before they go out on tour to do their training and whatsoever, and people just contact their HR managers whenever they see suit in terms of if they have any problems. So moving forward with that is that we took a look at your program. So first you have Odyssey, your welcoming program. Then you have your advancement program, which is, as well as your acknowledgement program and your health conferences. But what we didn't see, similar to the display that your colleagues are doing here in terms of the acrobatic triangle, is that there's something missing in collaboration, a program that brings together people to talk to each other across the organization and to bring all their ideas. So, the simple takeaway from this and our strategy is to enhance the quality of your communication through internal processes and achieve market leadership through international growth. So I'll pass it off to Sonia for our main initiatives.
So our main initiatives that we will discuss with you today are a new Voxto application that we plan on developing, inclusive logistics that will be arranged, creative partnerships, brand positioning, and worldwide expansion.
And for each of these main initiatives, we have a key performance indicator. So for the Voxto application, we'll be looking at 60% of employees with regular contact with the international headquarters. For the inclusive logistics, we want to reduce project completion times by 20%. For the next KPI, for the creative partnerships, you're looking at to drive 5% growth in ticket sales from partners. And the next one, brand positioning. The key performance indicator for this one is to increase Facebook page likes by 30%. You know, you really want to hit the social media in order to really increase your brand awareness.
I can't see the clicking out. Yeah, I can't. Select the presentation. Does that work? No.
Should
Can
we
we
start
continue?
now?
Yeah, so now moving into the implementation of our plan. In order to structure how we're going to recommend that you go about the strategy, we're just going to look at the Porter's value chain in order to really kind of position each and every initiative to really position this strategy. So the first one would be human resources with Sonia.
Alors, nos objectifs pour notre stratégie en ressources humaines, on en a 3. Donc, la première, c'est développer des outils pour une meilleure communication interne. Et aussi, on veut développer une synergie entre l'équipe à Montréal et les équipes qui sont en tournée et en bon ramassement à Las Vegas. Et aussi, on veut communiquer les réalités des différents milieux de travail à travers nos bureaux qui, en ce moment, ne sont pas si bien communiqués. Alors, pour adresser ces objectifs-là, nous avons 3 grosses initiatives. Donc, la première, c'est alignement longitudinal. Donc, une stratégie pour une expansion en commerce international, c'est d'aligner les fonctions de façon verticale comparée au globe. Comme ça réduit les différences entre les zones temporelles. Donc, par exemple, les spectacles qui sont en résidence permanente, donc par exemple à Montréal, à New York et à Riviera Maya au Mexique, ceux-là sont tous alignés dans la même zone temporelle vu que c'est dans la même chose, longueur longitudinale. Donc il y a des opportunités pour faire collaborer ces équipes ensemble et ainsi accélérer le temps des projets. Et Las Vegas peut aussi plus gérer les tournées qui sont dans ces zones longitudinales. Aussi, on aimerait envoyer des représentants de Montréal fréquemment à Las Vegas de façon à faciliter les rencontres et promouvoir les nouvelles qui s'y trouvent. Aussi, on aimerait des rencontres aux 3 mois entre les exécutifs, mais aussi entre les chefs de tournée, de façon à pouvoir communiquer de qu'est-ce qui se passe, qu'est-ce qu'il y a de nouveau et les résultats qu'on est en train de s'apercevoir, de façon à être plus réactif, plus proactif plutôt que réactif en rapport avec les événements de cette industrie dynamique. Et finalement, juste un peu avant. Et finalement, les voyages annuels à Montréal. Donc, une stratégie qui a été prouvée très efficace dans le domaine de ressources humaines, de se sentir engagé avec le bureau central, c'est d'envoyer des employés passer 1 ou 2 semaines dans le quartier général. Donc, comme ça, on peut envoyer, par exemple, des artistes pendant 1 semaine ou 2 semaines d'entraînement et ils peuvent ainsi rencontrer leurs collègues à travers le monde, échanger des idées et échanger des pratiques. Avec l'implémentation.
And with the implementation of this, so in the immediate term, from 0 to 2 months, first you want to inform and discuss with management, as your whole board isn't here today, and determine common Slack channels. So what happens is, to coordinate this kind of management, we want you to download the application Slack, and what will happen for every tour and for the offices, along with Montreal and Las Vegas, you'll get Slack channels and be able to have private conversations on each that include people that are relevant to the discussion so that they can properly communicate. In the short term, for 2 to 6 months, we want the HR managers to receive training on how to develop an application, which we'll talk about later on in our technological agreement. And we assume that since you have a cirquedusoleil.com email address, it's either with Microsoft or Outlook or with Google on the Google Drive. So having contract with your vendor there to expand those capabilities to an app feature or a dashboard, which we'll also mention later. And secondly, release event reviews and monthly exec reports. So to make sure people are more informed in terms of what's going on in the organization, if you can have a report every month that monitors what you're all working on in the Montreal level, and also event reviews, since there isn't a lot of follow-up on events to fix what might have not gone well. So having a template for that is really important. This is all part of the presentation. And then in the medium term, the 6 to 12 months, follow-up training, the hashtag challenges and Humans of South, similar to Humans of New York, will come on the app that we'll mention later as well. Promote the existence through your existing channels and release a survey on the success of Slack. And long term, we want you to look at a continental headquarters in Shanghai, since your majority owner is a Chinese company. Evaluate the KPIs that we have on the side for you, and a survey of our app, which we will be calling Vox Squared. And on to the technology development of Sony again.
Donc, nous avons déjà commencé à présenter Voxo. Donc, Voxo is basically your intranet website which employees can all participate in. Now, we want to create a dashboard which will enable our employees your employees to be able to connect easily. So what we want to do is that, for example, I could be able to log in on the internet portal and see a dashboard of what tours are happening, when, who is busy, who is available. Also, if I need to speak to someone in the Montreal office, I will be able to filter this and see, for example, in the Montreal location, who is active, who is available. I could also filter, for example, by HR. For example, I need to speak to someone from HR, regardless of where office they are, and you can see who is available and not. This enables employees to have like a more active engagement with the Montreal office and communicate more easily as well. Furthermore, we want to include monthly updates, news about what is happening around, useful links and information for the employees, and we want all this to be available on an application so that employees who are on the go and they just want to like check or ask a question, they don't have to wait to get home, to get on their laptop and then ask a question. They could ask it on the go wherever they need to. The Slack channels that we discussed previously should have for results to reduce the time of completing any projects or any task, which results in overall efficiencies in the company. And finally, we want to implement Finestra. So Finestra is what we imagined would be an internal Instagram, and this is very purpose for developing synergies and enhancing the creativity within a company, especially that of Cirque du Soleil. So what happens is that when anyone has an idea or likes something, for example, if I'm an employee and I like a costume that my colleague is wearing, I can take a picture, share it on Finestra, and my other colleagues are able to see this around the world. This may spark in ideas and like initiatives that can be implemented either in another costume, transformed into a show, etc. So this is a great way for us to enhance the traditional creativity within Cirque du Soleil in a synergetic movement across the globe.
So in terms of the logistics of how this technological implementation will happen is in the medium term, set up those Slack channels and get a contract with Microsoft or Google, as I mentioned before. In the short term, we want you to develop your app architecture in Las Vegas, as that's where your Cirque du Soleil app was previously developed, and get in a contract with your previous person as the app seems to be successful. Secondly, set up the monthly reports. So this is, as I mentioned before, the executives informing employees of what they're up to, but this time technologically they'll have to set up. And introduce the dashboard on Voxo to make sure that everyone can see people's availability. So on Outlook, they can fill in their calendar and it'll show up green, yellow, or red. In medium term, 6 to 12 months, contact the previous collaborators and do a survey of executives to see how this new software and applications are working for you. And in the long term, evaluate the KPIs, fix any glitches, and think about performance measurement software such as QuickScore, which is the only software that is approved by the Kaplan Balanced Scorecard method. And it really measures your quantitative goals, so anything financial, as well as qualitative. And that's really important in the art sector, since a lot of the time you can't measure, how vibrant something was or how people felt internally, and that's a really great software to consider. And I'll pass it on to Sonia for an extension of this section.
So for the outbound logistics, we want to take advantage of the partnerships that we have, for example, with Club Med. So with Club Med, we want to extend promotions to these people who are who are traveling and want to discover activities and are in the mood for that. We want to offer them promotions and group discounts for them to participate and see the Cirque du Soleil. So we also want to partner with Tohu, which we have already partnered with before, and we want to offer 2 corporate social responsibility initiatives. Le Bus Solaire, which would be a bus that would go through the neighborhood of Saint-Michel and give children the tools and opportunities to create and innovate things that they would not have the opportunity to do normally. And this contributes to the well-being of the neighborhood and also projects a good image on Cirque du Soleil. Furthermore, we want to have some painting murals that are on the streets that would be supported by Cirque du Soleil, where people can go and paint in. It would be like a drawing, and people can come paint in, and it would foster collaboration within the community. Now, these 2 initiatives of outbound logistics serve for the longer objective of Cirque du Soleil, which is beyond enhancing our internal communication, but is to achieve the position of market leader in the live entertainment industry, and this is by putting the good image of the cirque out there. Now finally, additional initiatives to foster this growth in market leadership and to finally be a market leader is based on the hand of perception. So the hand of perception serves to position our brand as a leading one. So on this we want to focus on quality, value, history, experience, and endorsement. So for example, for the first time someone buys a ticket, we can offer them a welcome kit with Cirque du Soleil pamphlets, a description of its history, and for example, little charms that people can wear in the form of a tent, for example, and thus branding the cirque as a modern and go-to entertainment place. And we also want to follow up after the shows to develop long-term relationships with consumers. It costs 5 times more to acquire a consumer rather to maintain existing consumers, and the output is better. So for this reason, we want to follow up and make sure that the expectations were met and what they would like to see in the future. Finally, we want also a Meet the Artist contest, which people on Facebook can apply, share images of participating at the show, and run a chance to actually meet with one of the artists that presented at the show. And finally, we want to create loyalty programs in order to maintain ongoing relationships with our consumers and maximize the lifetime value out of a consumer. And it's by referrals through these loyalty programs that we are able to grow internationally and achieve a leading position. Donc, pour continuer avec une analyse financière, nous avons estimé les revenus qui viendraient en réponse aux initiatives que nous sommes en train de proposer. Et comme vous voyez, les coûts qui sont associés à nos initiatives sont assez réduits, cependant les revenus peuvent être très grands. Et vous pouvez voir que même dans les conditions les plus pessimistes, il y a un retour sur l'investissement de 43%.
So in terms of risks, we weren't able to get this on the slide, but I can elaborate. So first is thinking of poor functionality on the apps and the dashboard. So the impact of this would be high since it wouldn't work well with what we're proposing, but the probability of this is low, given that you're working with people that you've worked with before, and you can structure your contract in terms of fixed price and also have it at stages. So in terms of developing the architecture first, that could be phase 1, and then once that fixed price contract is completed, you can move on to the next phase, so that way there won't be too much cost overrun in terms of the whole project, and that protects you financially as well. And also there can be concerns about poor adoption rates. So because this is so new and people might not be familiar with it, they might not download the app or know how to use it online. And that comes along with our training for the HR managers, which they then bring to the employees who are on tour, who are in Montreal, who are in Las Vegas, that can use the app. And also you can have champions on each tour. So for Voxo, for Finestra, for Slack, that are very familiar with the software, that are familiar with the formats, and can help anyone with those situations that might be unfavorable. So, for example, for Corteo, they would have the dashboard in terms of, okay, I need to communicate with somebody in Montreal, so they see that somebody is available in there, it's green, or somebody else that they want to talk to is yellow, but they'll be available in 2 hours, so they can contact anyone with a concern. In terms of with the tour, so on the Slack channel, you'll be able to talk with anyone about, we need more light, we need better lighting, we need more strings, one of our outfits ripped, so that's how we'll handle it there. And then you can celebrate the successes of your event on Fenestra and on the app to see, hey, we sold out our show today, one of our performers' suits ripped, but that's okay. And you can really bring it all together to make sure that everyone feels like they're collaborating and make sure that everyone feels involved and is well informed. So I guess the computer concluded before I did.
We're going to take a few minutes just to wait for the PowerPoint. We can stop the time.
Sure.
Yeah? Do you guys prefer that way?
Yeah.
It's up to you. It's not going to affect your presentation. We're going to stop the time.
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Letters. That's the second one.
C'est quoi la reporter?
C'est le manuel de statut reporter, mais c'est la même chose.
Because if it asks for a code, I can go get it. We longer.
That's fine. We can do that in this time.
We'll just wait.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay. We can,
Let me see if I can get my code. And then USB is there, right?
yeah, man.
Okay. Everything is on USB.
Yeah. I haven't been toggling with it this whole time just to do that.
All the presentations on the same way.
It's just our stuff, I believe. There might be a folder with others, but I didn't see any other presentations. That's final.
Final.
Team, not final.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, you can work on it.
Ask me later, ask me later.
I don't think I'll love it. So maybe go with Google instead of Microsoft.
At the bottom right.
It's third one.
Yeah, there you go.
Donc, pour faire une synthèse de ce que nous sommes présentés, dans le court terme, notre objectif, c'est vraiment d'améliorer la communication interne à travers nos employés parce que nous voyons ça comme non seulement une source de garder les employés engagés, mais aussi de stimuler la créativité, qui est quand même un trait caractéristique du Cirque du Soleil, et d'encourager les synergies. Et nous planifions arriver à cet objectif-là à travers une réorganisation un peu des opérations de façon longitudinale, mais aussi avec une application qui permet de plus engager les employés. Au plus long terme, nous planifions quand même atteindre une position de leader dans le marché de l'industrie du entertainment live. Et cela sera facilité par une collaboration avec nos partenaires, avec une projection positive de l'image du Cirque du Soleil qui redonne à sa communauté, et aussi à travers une stratégie de marketing qui est surtout focalisée sur maintenir des relations profondes avec les visiteurs, et aussi notre stratégie pour croître plus loin à niveau mondial. C'est non seulement, c'est par exemple d'acquisitionner des cirques locaux qui ont une bonne renommée et d'attacher une marque qui serait comme le cirque original par Cirque du Soleil. Et ça peut servir comme un point d'entrée pour les nouveaux visiteurs qui ne connaissent pas nécessairement le Cirque du Soleil, mais qui connaissent le local dans la région. Et les prix peuvent être plus bas, comme ça, à encourager les consommateurs à essayer quelque chose qui est encore mieux, qui a une encore meilleure réputation, que c'est le Cirque du Soleil original. Et nous pensons qu'à travers cette stratégie de court terme d'améliorer les communications, supplémentées par des initiatives de marketing et de croissance géographique, nous pensons que nous pouvons atteindre les objectifs de la mission et de la vision du Cirque du Soleil.
Thank you.
J'aurais peut-être une question concernant l'information financière que vous avez présentée. Est-ce que ça incluait les coûts de la mise en place du système de communication que vous privilégiez?
Oui.
Oui? Donc, les revenus additionnels étaient générés par...
Donc, il y a une partie des revenus additionnels qui sont générés. Donc, dans le plan, on a aussi inclus les initiatives de marketing. Mais pour ce qui est des gains qui sont réalisés surtout par la communication interne, c'est les gains qui sont faits par le fait que les projets durent moins longtemps à fabriquer. La communication est plus rapide, donc il y a plus de output qui est réalisé en peu de temps. Et donc, ça, c'est des gains réalisés sous forme d'économie de coûts. Et aussi, les plans de marketing, ça sert surtout à générer des nouveaux revenus.
Okay. Et juste le coût de mise en place du système de communication online que vous privilégiez sur une base longitudinale, ça coûte combien, ça?
On peut revenir, mais on avait estimé que c'était... donc... Ça dépendrait de l'envergure dans laquelle on le ferait, mais on estimait que ce soit entre 5 millions et 15 millions. Donc ça, c'est dépendamment de combien de rencontres on veut faire les employés se voir et aussi à quel point on veut réintégrer les bureaux de façon verticale.
OK, donc c'était compris là-dedans. Merci.
J'ai une question. Vous parliez de reduce the project completion time by 20%. How do you propose to do that?
So, by the fact that communication is faster, it has been proven that any hour gain is represented, any hour gain in efficiency of project results in a 10% reduction in the overall project time. And so we assumed that a certain number of hours would be saved based on our new system. And we think this is achievable.
20%. Okay.
Yeah.
And you calculated your ROI? You calculated 6 million and 20?
We took the profit and divided it by the total costs.
I have
have a question for you in regards to the communication tool that you had. You said if an employee on tour, for example, wanted to communicate with Montreal, we could see when they're available and when they're not. So my question to you would be, Montreal is usually pretty, regular office hours, somewhere between 9 and 5 or something like that. Us on tour, we're quite diverse, we travel the world, etc. So how would you suggest that they know when to contact us? So would we need to say when we're available? How would that work?
Yeah, so how it works with Microsoft Outlook or Google is that they all have calendar functions.
Yeah.
So if everyone inputs, I'm going for lunch this day, I'm working these hours at home or in the office, that will be factored into the availability dashboard. So it'll say they're coming back in half an hour, they're gone for the day, it's Monday, they don't work. And then you can scroll through the list in order to find who is available or who will be returning soon, and then you can contact them that way.
And do you think that our artists would also be inputting that information into their calendars?
Into their Outlook calendars, and it's a simple tool that most people do on their calendars at work, so it wouldn't be one of the new features that would be hard to transition into. It'd just be expanding the technological capacity of adding dashboard features to what you already have, but it wouldn't be anything that artists have to do differently.
And furthermore, an additional advantage to this would be the fact that the technology built in would be available in the sense that, for example, as soon as someone has a phone out or is using it, even if it's off the hours, it could still be automatically tracked as if they are available, so they don't have to manually.
So I would be available anytime I open my phone?
Anytime the app is open.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.